Okay. Hello. Hello. It's Ben and Nicole here. Or Ben and Nikki. And we're just going to talk today a little bit about our marriage, about our upcoming anniversary, and a renewal of our vows. This June the 25th, 2018, we will have been married for
a long time. 25 years.
25 wonderful years. Everyone has been perfect, right? I think, honestly, I think there's been more bad than good, I would say.
I would agree, because it was a learning process. It was a learning process, and because we were young, we weren't really experienced in the fact that we didn't have any relationship role models that lasted for a while. So dry. This is medicine make my lips feel like dude from Will Ferrell when he was in Elf with the cotton balls.
Yeah, or me, myself, and
I'm like,
it's okay. It happens. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, and no relationship with the Lord either. I know that for me was a big part. At least you had a foundation. You know, from Grandpa and your even Grandma a little bit taking you to church
all the time.
Now, my grandparents, you know, they had a stronger marriage than I realized, and I was talking to my mom about that. They fought, but their marriage did last, and their marriage was actually in order, and I didn't realize that. I thought it was out of order, but it wasn't, you know, and that was important. And I was talking to my mom about that. My mom and I have had some differences over the years, but we kind of reconciled a little bit, and I was talking to her, and towards the end, when last few years, they retired in 93, 94, and decided to move to Florida. My grandmother did not want to retire to Florida. Her heart was in California. But my grandfather was in love with Florida. He wanted to move to Sarasota. But my grandmother's
Sister?
Her sister, and actually not her blood sister, her not adopted but foster sister, Helen, lived in Kissimmee, St. Cloud. Kissimmee St. Cloud. So they moved to one town over, as a kind of compromise. So that was actually kind of beautiful, and I didn't get that till later on, that she kind of submitted to what he wanted, but then they compromised so that if we're going to live in Florida, at least let me be next to my sister. And they were kind of close to Disney World, which she loved, or Disneyland, I can never remember which is which, because she loved Mickey Mouse and Disneyland, everything about it. Because I remember, and I always thought it was a joke when I heard it, and I've said this before to my family, you know, Big Mom and Big Daddy, I always thought she wore the pants. I thought she was in charge, because she was a strong-willed woman, she was independent. And I had asked something, and she says, well, I'll have to ask Big Daddy, because he's the head of the house. And I burst out laughing. I was like, and she just looked at me, what's so funny? Oh, you're serious? I thought it was a joke. But she really meant it, that Big Daddy was the head of the house, and apparently he was. He was the main breadwinner. Big Mama had a bachelor's in nursing. You know, she went back to school. She had got her associate's degree, and she was a registered nurse. But when she applied herself, and she went back as a grown woman working in the nursing field, and got her bachelor's from the University of Maryland. She studied psychiatry. She actually helped run Maryland Adlerian Psychology Society. She worked diligently for Steny Hoyer's campaign. I remember many, many times I got drafted into helping stuff envelopes, making cold calls for his campaign. Lots of fun for a 14 and 15-year-old. Loads. So the many times he got reelected, You're welcome, Stenny. So,
But, yes.
what are some of your thoughts about your grandparents' marriage, for example, and how it? I know theirs lasted a long time too.
Yeah, theirs were 53, 54 years before my grandmother died, God rest her soul, from cancer. And they were, wow, I didn't think they really got along well. The only time I really saw them really, really get along was a few times. One, when I was younger, and because my dad was abusive and they took me out of his care, they worked together to make sure that I had a good first Christmas when I was 5 years old. And
Stop and get a drink. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah.
How amazing the
Yeah.
Christmas was. They got you the chalkboard,
yeah, they got me. It was so many things that they
like
got
a real
me.
school chalkboard,
Real
right?
school chalkboard, and their living room, the whole floor, everywhere was covered with gifts. So they really made me feel loved and welcomed coming into this thing. And for my 6th birthday party, they had a huge birthday party, which blew my mind because my grandmother isn't social. But they had a huge birthday party and invited the whole block.
Oh wow!
And they had games and all kinds of stuff, and it got me to know the neighborhood and people in the neighborhood. So it really was a blessing.
Did you know Teresa by then?
Yes, Teresa, I've known,
Since you were 5.
Yes, I'll be knowing her for 40 years this year. And she lived across the alley, across the
Right.
alleyway.
I just didn't know if she came or.
And that's how I met Katina and all that. But it was just amazing. And I mean, the house was packed and full of people were dancing. They used the living room as a dance where everybody would dance and all.
Oh, nice.
And the record player was the huge one. They had the 8-track and all that. And in the dining room was where they cut the cake and everything like that. It was wonderful. So they did stuff like that because they wanted me to feel loved and feel welcome, and I just was.
I guess to try to erase
The
memory
memories.
of what was happening before with your father.
Yeah. And
Did you
it
just
was
want water, or did you want like the lemonade?
I guess the small lemonade.
Okay.
But it was definitely a blessing for me.
So, saying that, in the back of our minds, we have this foundation, right?
Yeah.
But then we both come from broken marriages.
Oh, yeah.
You were abused. I wasn't abused, but my father and mother verbally abused each other. And my mother tried her best with what she had. Now, her parents loved her. They loved her. I don't know why she couldn't, what went wrong with her. But for some reason, she just couldn't grasp motherhood. Maybe it was because of my childhood cancer and it did something to her. So she overcompensated and tried to give or do too much. Sorry guys, just 1 second. They're kind of slow here. I hate this white
Yeah, can I get a medium limeade?
Anything else?
A strawberry lemonade, small?
Anything else?
That's it.
256.
Yeah, the total 666. That should tell you something about this place. Anyway,
Wow, I should have another cookie or something.
stop. That just tells you they're evil. It's not us. Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot now.
Yeah, and it goes back to you were dealing with your mom, whether she knew how to be able to embrace you. Or
Well, no, she
embrace her marriage.
Yeah, no, her marriage, the marriage fell apart. My dad, his father had issues because his father committed suicide because his mother died. So his mom, I heard, was very loving. She tried and tried, but his dad was a drunk. His dad was abusive. And then my cancer, I know I'm not to blame for it, but I had childhood cancer. And it was overwhelming for my mother. I can't imagine. and she tried, and it did something to her. So she overcompensated, and then Leslie abandoned us. And my family tried to come together. Big Mama, my Aunt Melody, my uncle, my Grandmommy Hogan, Big Daddy. They did their best, and she had to spend some time away. So eventually my parents split and met my stepfather. Pete is a wonderful guy. They fell in love, and I had my stepbrother. And that marriage, didn't last either. Because something in my mom is just...
She was still working some things out of her.
Yeah, and she still is,
I think part of it, too, is not knowing who you are. And when you get into a marriage and one person doesn't know who they are and you're not each other's helpmeet and
Hello.
you don't work on certain issues, then what has happened is
Thank you.
You can end up... Do you give you a receipt? It can really end up tearing apart any relationship, because how do you expect the person to know
Thank you.
what you want if you don't know what you want? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what's going to make you happy, how do you expect someone else to know what's going to make you happy? And that's not to say that before you get into a relationship you have it all crack-a-lackin', but it is to say that you need to be able to understand.
You got a new car.
You need to be able to understand and know what it is that you expect out of a relationship, and have goals.
Right, and my
concerning
mother,
it.
I know she loved me. She fought to do the right thing for me with my childhood cancer, and I've said it before, probably many millions of times. I mean, not millions, but hyperbole. She was very stubborn, very strong-willed, and if it wasn't for that, Old Testament Pharaoh-like stubbornness,
Oh, another HHR.
yeah, if it wasn't for that, she wouldn't have been able to convince the doctor she took me to
Run all these
run the
tests.
necessary tests to find the neuroblastoma cancer that was lodged against my spinal cord, and it could have metastasized, spread to other parts of my body, released into my bloodstream, and I would either be dead or permanently crippled. So I owe her my life for multiple reasons. So that's that. So when it comes to forgiving that woman, my mother, it should be very, really, really easy for me to seal. It isn't always, because, like her, I've inherited that stubbornness from her, and it's not stubbornness isn't always a good thing. When it should be called determination when it's a good thing, and stubbornness when it's bad. So when I don't forgive her, it's stubbornness. When it's good, it's determination.
Well,
So
one of the things too, Bill, with forgiveness, it is for you. And when you forgive someone and what they've done, you don't allow that situation or that person to have power over you and over that part of your life. It's release.
right. So again, she loved me, and so her loving me, her naming me before I was born, singing to me, praying for me, wanting the best for me, and then finding out that her supposedly perfect child has this lump of cancer against his spine, that he's going to have to be cut open, given radiation, given chemotherapy.
I couldn't imagine. And it's in her first child. Not you have two or three,
Right.
but your first
And then
one.
her husband just losing his mind. Not, she was...
It's basically
18,
she was out there
19.
by herself.
And she was 20, 21.
But
So she was not... I really don't believe she was emotionally or mentally equipped to handle that. So she's trying to deal with this, and she's trying to be there for me. So I can't imagine what it did to her. So this affects her marriage. And the consequences of that effect on her marriage have rippled through time to when I start dating, to when I finally get married. Because how do I act in my marriage is the way that I saw marriage is. You know, I don't, I could have acted differently and I should have acted differently. But the way I saw Big Daddy act, the way I saw my dad act, the way I saw my stepfather act, I combine those into this is how a husband probably should act. You know, yeah, I saw TV shows with so-called fathers, but I know that's a TV show. That's not real life. Real fathers, real husbands don't act like that. My dad, my grandfather, they yell, they scream, they talk to their wives how they're supposed to be talked to. So, but I had to learn that this is my wife, this is not my employee, this is not my child, this is not a person to belittle into doing what I want the way I want. This is a person that is chosen to walk with me through life, who deserves respect and honor and love, who sees me at my worst, who sees me when I'm sick, who sees me when I'm falling apart, and who still chooses me. You know, so, and continues to choose me. You know, there was many times when she could have walked away early in the relationship, when I was a jerk, when I was, you know, I choose not to curse anymore, so I'm not going to say what I was in words that are very colorful. But, you know, if it was me talking to my daughters, I would have told them to jump ship. I would have told them to run to the hills, because I wouldn't want that type of man for my daughters. I just wouldn't. You know, I don't care how handsome or charismatic or how much of a good guy he could be on his good days. Because on my bad days, they were bad. When my temper flared up, when I wasn't feeling it, when she would say the wrong thing, or I would go to a bad place, or whatever my excuse would be. It was bad. And yeah, she might be wrong sometimes. She might be. I mean, nobody's perfect. I realize now she was perfect for me. Those issues of my actions, reactions, and interactions were mine, not hers, though. Because it's my choice of how to react to her, how to act in the first place, and how I interact with her. So me trying to place the blame on her for me being mad that she said something I didn't like, it's not fair. It's no more fair than her being mad at something I said, and me getting mad telling her she needs to get over it. Well, she'll get over it in time, just like I would get over things in time that she said or did, because I did. We're both forgiving people, we're both loving people, but expecting her to get over things overnight was unrealistic. I had to learn this. It's a process. Marriage is a continual process.
And a job. And that's why I tell people marriage takes work. Not, you know, going in there and doing one or two things. It is a constant thing that you're working at. It's almost like a living organism. It is something that you grow and you cultivate and you plant. And
You have to feed it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll starve and die.
Yeah.
That's why the Bible says the two become one flesh. And if you don't realize that, if you don't get that, then you're going to be confused. And that's why, if you don't understand, that real marriage starts with sex. It does. When a man and a woman lay down and have sex, that's marriage. So when you wonder why you're stuck with somebody after you've had sex with them, you can't stop thinking about them, you're tied to that person, it's because you've technically, biblically, spiritually married yourself to that person.
There's a bond. There's a link.
A spiritual link to that person. And if you don't want that to be with that person anymore, you have to ask God and pray about severing that link. And it's not easy because you're not supposed to.
Because even when you try to, and you try to move on, you may find yourself attracting the same kind of person because of that type of connection. Why do I always attract alcoholics? Why do I always attract bad boys? Why do I always attract these girls that are such and such and such? You know, look at who you become attached to.
And if you're out there, let's say you have that sex with that one person, and go out and have sex with another person, and another person, you are bonding and binding yourself to multiple people at the same time.
And whoever they bonded themselves with.
So you're creating this web of spiritual confusion
Yeah.
that God never intended. And if you look at this stuff in the Bible, and you think, oh, in the Old Testament, God allowed multiple marriages. It happened, but God didn't want it. And you see that it always messed up.
Always had
There was always
confusion,
a problem.
issues.
And especially when you look at Abraham and his wife, Sarah, said to Abraham, I'm tired of waiting for you to have a son. I want you to lay down and sleep with my maid, and you have a son through her, and you'll have a son. I'm just tired of you waiting. It's not fair. I know what God said, but you listen to me and you do what I say, and you sleep with her.
Impatience.
And instead of being the man and standing up and saying, no, we know what God said. God will come through. He listened to his wife. And I'm not saying there's not a time to listen to your wife.
Adam
But,
did too.
instead of standing up and trusting God and putting his foot down, he listened to his ding-dong. And he just rolled over and did what his wife said.
Adam did too with
Right.
Eve.
And he climbed into bed, laid down with his maidservant, got her pregnant, and he had a son. Then when God came back and allowed Sarah to conceive the son he promised at the right time, there was confusion. There was an issue. Because now Sarah was worried. Well, what if they become jealous? And what if they try to hurt my son? What if they want his inheritance? And what if they try to kill him? Send him away. I don't like them. I don't want them here. You don't have to kill him, but send him away.
The same one that you asked for anyway.
So now he has to take his son. Yeah, it's not. So that's not right. And it's all because, and this woman didn't ask for this. The boy didn't ask for this. It's not fair. It's not fair. And the same thing with Solomon. The same thing with Adam. It's confusion. Multiple wives, multiple women, laying down with multiple partners. I'm telling you, I love my wife to death. If you watch the sermon that I gave on Sunday, mothers, daughters, grandmothers, sisters, aunts, whatever you want to put it. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. But I fully express how much I love her and what I'm willing to do for her. But I can't imagine trying to take care of two of them, because she needs my undivided attention. She needs my full focus. And she deserves it. Why would I try to split it between two or more? That's insanity. That's not right. That's not fair. Especially sexually. What in the world? Especially as a man gets older. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You know, so all I'm trying to say here is that, you know, men like to boast of themselves of what they're worth and what they think they can and can't do, what they should or shouldn't do. But we need to, as men, focus on what God has allowed us to be and to do. And I know my God has given me his daughter, a beautiful, caring woman who means the world to me and to my children. You know, they don't always say the right things, but when it comes down to it, they know what a wonderful woman is, and you can hear it when they talk about it. You know, when they you know, and she looks surprised when they actually talk about how wonderful she is, because it's like, well, why don't you act like that all the time? Oh, Mom, I don't know. It's just, I know how great you are, but you know, they forget to do things, they forget to say things, but when it comes down to it, they know how special she is. And it's like their friends come over, oh yeah, they told me about it. They told you, well, why don't they tell me? Because they know how awesome she is. They know what a hard worker she is. They know that she's basically the definition of the Proverbs 31 woman. Hardworking, and will give you the shirt off her back, stay up late with the children, praying for them, you know. So, you know, celebrating this 25th anniversary with a renewal of our vows, a rededication of our marriage to the Lord, it's a wonderful thing. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if it didn't cost so much money, but it's the least we can do to honor God, and for me to honor my wife by saying, you know what, this money's nothing. If we had more, it'd be great, but if we don't, it's worth it to spend it on you, because if you spend it on something else, money's not everything, and when we go, we can't take it with us. So, hey, you spend it on this, and we have some good times with the kids, and you know, Jolie Bean will be there. We'll have the pictures that Harris Gwen ruined. You know, something to hang up on the wall that the kids can have when we're not there, and Joel can see when he gets older, and if Laura has another one, or you know, whatever. So I think it'll be nice, and Mom will get to be there. Maybe make a DVD out of it, send it to my mom.
And I know she'll be happy too, since we eloped and kind of cheated them out of that first time. We were young and.
I know when they say we cheated out of it, but we did things our way, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because you know, we were our own kids, we were our own people, and I don't think at that age they were going to really do a marriage for us. You know what I'm saying? You really think Marilee and Les and your mom
would have been like, oh, sure. No, they would have been, you're so young, you're too young, why don't you wait? Which we could have, but.
You know, especially with me still in high school. You know. So. And,
which was interesting. You had that beat, you only went to high school at your age married.
So, we have lived life our way. Made our choices. And like I told Patrick, I'll take it. I wouldn't change anything, because if I did, I wouldn't know what consequences.
Right, and the experiences, bad and good, have
landed us here
at
this moment. And butterfly effect. I don't know what ripples. If I change this, what would it affect? And you know, one of those changes might erase Joel. And I couldn't have that.
He's too cute.
He's my bean. I couldn't lose my bean, so I'll take it. I will take every bump, every scrape, every bruise, my back pain, every job loss, every tear, everything. I'll take it. So I'm honored to sit here with my wife and to let you guys know that June 23rd, 2018, Ben and Nicole Underwood will be celebrating 25 years of marriage, 27 years together in Accokeek, Maryland. I love you. You guys have a great day. It was good to talk to you. We'll talk again to you soon. Bye-bye.